Hey YouTube, it's Hendog. Today I'm going to be discussing Steph Curry's legacy and why in the future his career may be remembered in the same vein as Tim Duncan and why their shortcomings are similar. We all know Steph's upbringing. Son of former NBA player Steph Curry, goes to small school in Davidson, dominating there and breaking every shooting and scoring record. Slides down to 7th in the draft because of concerns regarding the speed of the game, whether or not he can be a true point guard, but most importantly is how reliant he was on his three-point shot, a shot that wasn't frequently sought after. The year before Steph was taken, the team that shot the most threes was the New York Knicks, who averaged 28 three-pointers per game, the same as the Suns last year, who were 20th in that category. Going back to Steph, he had a hard time initially adjusting to the speed and physicality of the NBA, as he needed 2 ankle surgeries in his first 3 seasons as a pro. Once he maintained his ankles, went through rigorous rehab and training to work on his mobility and balance, Steph Curry entered the scene in 2014, averaging 24 points, 8.5 assists, and 4 rebounds, earning his first All-Star and All-NBA selection. 2015 yielded similar results for Curry individually, as he broke his previous record for threes made in a season, but his team took the next step, allowing him to win MVP. The Warriors carried their season-long momentum, winning the championship with Iguodala taking home Finals MVP. 2016 happens, and this is when Steph is elevated to the likes of few athletes had ever experienced. The Warriors were winning game after game, and Steph was making it onto Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube with his ridiculous shots and overall wizardry with the ball. He went from dominating the league to taking it by storm. NBA analysts couldn't get enough of him, as he was the main topic of discussion nearly every day, and there were legitimate arguments to whether he was better than MJ and LeBron.
Who's more impactful isn't close. It's Steph Curry. Steph Curry is not only more impactful than LeBron today, he'll be more impactful to the NBA and the game of basketball globally in 10 to 20 years.
I said offensively, is Steph better offensively than Michael Jordan?
When it was all said and done, Steph became the first unanimous MVP, averaging 37, 5, and 2 on a 50, 45, 90 season, the first and only player to do that with at least 20 points per game. Once again, he broke his own record for most threes in a season with 402 and led the Warriors to a 73-9 record while only playing 34 minutes a game, mostly sitting out every fourth quarter. Then, the fall happened in the 2016 playoffs. The NBA gods suddenly struck Steph with ankle injuries, again after a 3-year hiatus, and ruined what would have been the greatest season for any team and probably the greatest individual season ever. After blowing a 3-1 lead in the finals to the Cavs, the Warriors added KD. Steph plays a more submissive role, not dominating like he did in 2016, and now questions arise if he truly was ever great or could lead a team to a chip.
Okay, if I say this, Steph Curry is a really, really good basketball player. We have massively overvalued him as a franchise star.
Now, we're caught up to 2018. So why does Steph have any relation with Tim Duncan? They are 2 vastly different players who play the game entirely different, spanning 2 eras. One that emphasized inside scoring and isolation ball, and the other that's just ball movement, 3-point shooting, and switch defense. But before we evaluate Duncan, let's go back to Steph's legacy. What is the biggest flaw to Steph's legacy? The fact that he benefits so much from the Warriors system and playing with 3, now 4 All-Stars. Yeah, the lack of a Finals MVP is a problem, but isn't that just an effect from being surrounded by the greatest team and management possibly ever? Steph's job is so much easier from a LeBron, Anthony Davis, or Chris Paul because he isn't tasked with constantly being the best playmaker, defender. Hell, with KD, he sometimes doesn't even have to be the best scorer on his team. All he has to do is make his threes and play, make, and defend at a solid enough level because he has the insurance of KD, Draymond, Clay, and Iguodala. Tim Duncan, considered by most the greatest power forward of all time, he was fundamentally sound in every aspect of the game, hence the nickname the Big Fundamental. He was excellent scoring on the low block with his legendary bank shot. He passed well, especially for his position. He was an elite shot blocker, hit the mid-range, sometimes even stretching it out for 3. There wasn't any huge flaw in his game, which is why he was so successful in his 18-year career from beginning to end. But despite earning 15 All-NBA and All-Defensive selections, winning 2 regular season MVPs and 3 Finals MVPs, Duncan's legacy is seen as an afterthought. Many people say he's great, but he's rarely mentioned with the Kareem, Shaqs, and Hakeems of the world, and almost exclusively left out of the GOAT conversation. despite being very comparable and even beating Shaq and Kobe on the biggest stage. Maybe it's because he's the jack of all trades, master of none. Maybe he isn't the flashiest player on the court, or maybe because San Antonio culture has engulfed his legacy, attributing much of his success to the Spurs culture and pop rather than his excellent play. When you look at Steph Curry within the scope of NBA history, it seems as though a majority of NBA media still believes he has a long way to go to becoming great, when in actuality it isn't the case. In terms of NBA players in general, there's no way Steph is ranked below 20, maybe even 15 all time. He has 2 MVPs, the first and only unanimous, has made the All-NBA team 5 times, and is a 3-time champ. But unlike Wade, Dr. J, and even his teammate KD, who I believe he is around all time, he offers something not counted for in the stat sheet, and is only matched by 2 other players in NBA history. Steph Curry has the gravity to make every team focus on him at all times from everyone on the court. Magic and LeBron are the only other people that I can think of in the history of basketball to have this effect. You always had to keep your eyes glued to them, or they'll dart a pass behind you in the tightest corners or get by you for an easy bucket. But unlike Bron or Magic, Steph's gravity extends to damn near the half-court line and works when Steph is 11 of 11 or 2 of 11. This is a clip from Game 3 of this past finals. He passes the half-court line and gets right in front of the Cavs logo. All 5 defenders turn their attention to Steph, ignoring everyone else on the court. What makes this clip extra special is that at this point, Steph was shooting a whopping 1 of 9 from the field, but he still managed to make every Cavalier focus on him. He missed the shot, but this clip demonstrated the magnitude Steph brings every play. His presence made every Cavalier defender pay attention to him and ignore everyone else on the court. This aspect of Steph's game gets lost because everyone believes KD is the one who gets all the focus and attention, while Steph gets single coverage and just has to run around screens till he gets open. Would Steph's career be different if he wasn't drafted by the Warriors? Obviously, but really, what NBA legend wouldn't have their legacy altered if they were drafted by a different team? Jordan's career would have turned out differently if Houston traded Ralph Sampson for him, or if the Hornets kept Kobe. But in the end, it's nothing more than a what if. As for the fact Steph and Duncan have significantly benefited from their teams and are nothing more than system players, what great hasn't needed another great, whether it be a player or coach, to succeed at the highest level? Jordan had Phil and Pippen, Magic had Kareem and Worthy, Kobe had Shaq, and even LeBron couldn't win without help from Wade and Kyrie. I was always a firm believer that in basketball, coaching is bringing the best out of your players. What makes Kerr and Stevens great isn't all X's and O's. It's how dedicated the players are to them and how much they invest in your system. It's like teaching. You can be the smartest man or woman alive, but you'll never become a great teacher unless your students buy into your teaching methods and respect you as a person. When the media says Duncan was only good due to the Spurs culture and pop, it's an embarrassment to hear because Duncan would have found success elsewhere. He was praised coming out of college and had the skill set and work ethic to be great, and it showed. You look at Pop post Duncan, and it seems as though Pop has gone full himself and divided the locker room. Both Duncan and Curry have been attributed to team first play and winning, rather than individual stats and accomplishments. Those aren't only my beliefs, but similar beliefs to both Steve Kerr and Pop. They have attributed their coaching success to Steph and Duncan and their overall selfishness. Both have been on the record saying those two are the sole reason why they still have their job today.
People who grew up with me know me. I would not be standing here if it wasn't for Tim Duncan. You know, I'd be in the Bud League, the Budweiser League, someplace in America. Fat and still trying to play basketball or coach basketball. But he's why I'm standing here. He's made livings for hundreds of us, staff and coaches, over the years.
They both know players make coaches generally, not the other way around. Why did Bill Belichick, the greatest NFL coach ever, fail to win with inferior talent in Cleveland, but thrived once he was with great talent and management in New England? Steph obviously has flaws in his legacy, but when looking at the bigger picture, he, along with Duncan, shouldn't be punished for being on great dynasties that always seek to improve. They've accomplished great feats in their career, winning multiple MVPs, being the focal point on dynasties, and earning numerous All-NBA selections. Do chasing stats and awards matter more than winning? After all, isn't the goal for every NBA player to win? So why punish two greats who created the best opportunity for themselves to win?
My brothers in the fight who ain't got your head right. Too many people shed blood for us not to shed light. We hot, we dead right. We drop, we dead mice. We run these streets like cops through red lights.